What's up, Sentinel?
Hello everybody and welcome once again. My name is Alan Shisco. I'm a motion graphics artist. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a little project that I just finished up recently. Not going to be so much a tutorial this time around, more of an overview just so you can check out what I did. It's a fairly complicated project and fairly complicated setup, but I think you'll get an idea of what it was that I've done for this project, and you can give it a shot on your end as well when you want to try something new. All right, so presumably you've checked out the link that I had in the blog post that went to the final render for this spot, and well, let's walk through it a little bit. So I'm going to sort of work from the end backwards here. Just so that you can see sort of the logic of how I set this things up. Now this one here, I call this composition the assemble composition. This is where the final render takes place. Now the reason that I did it this way is because this particular spot is made up of four different shots, and what I wanted to do is instead of having one composition with like a bazillion layers in it, I set up each shot independently, and then I just bring it in here. Well, you can see there's a composition called shot 1 and shot 2. Anyway, that's pretty straightforward. So let's move on, and I'll show you what it was that I did here. We're going to go over to shot number 1 right here. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice when we get here, of course, are all these wacky little things around here. Lots and lots of really confusing-looking squares and such. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and the Control key, and I'm going to hit H. Okay, you may not have known that, but that's hide, and it hides all the little bitty things, you know, the handles and stuff, so you can get a clearer view of what you're looking at. But anyway, let's bring those back. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to maximize the composition window here, just so you can see how many layers went into this particular shot here. So I hit the tilde key, and you can see there we go. This isn't all though. I'm just going to keep going down and keep going down. Keep going down, keep going down. Oh yeah. Now some of them are not turned on right now. They come in one of the later shots, but you can see that I've got, well, 101 layers on this right here. So what do these layers do? What are they made up of? Okay, I'm going to hit the tilde key, and we're going to go back to our view. First thing I'm going to do here is this is the camera view that we're looking at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first off go to quarter resolution, just so that my interactions are a little bit speedier when I'm working with this, and I do that by either selecting third, half quarter, whatever the case may be, or you can also do the keyboard shortcut, which is Shift, Control, Alt, J. And that'll give you a quarter resolution. You know how I love keyboard shortcuts. Pardon me. And so let's go to the next thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my active camera view to custom view number 1. Okay. Now, you can sort of get a little bit of a better view on what we're working on here if I do this, right? I'm just going to orbit around here. I'm going to orbit so that we're straight up. I'll turn off the sun layer here just because that's not a 3D layer. And you can see, well, my whole world space is made up of a whole bunch of boxes. Look at that, eh? Just a whole bunch of square. My whole world space is kind of one great big rectangle, you know? But what happens is, I'm just going to hit the C key a couple of times here, and I'm going to move down, hold down the Shift key, and we'll move in a little bit closer. We're moving into our world space a little bit. And you can see that as we get closer, and we get closer, and we get closer, I'm now going to hit the C key again to rotate. And you can see when you're close down and you move around, you don't get that sense of squareness here because of the way that the layers got set up, you know. Right here, okay, if you look at that, yeah, that sort of looks like a corner, you know. But everything else, like the corner right here, there's a corner right there that you can see here. You can't see it in the final render, but it doesn't look like a corner. It just looks like a horizon line as you go around there, okay. So let me just pull back again here, and you can see this is kind of the basic setup. It also lets you do some really neat things, like you can do some really neat, like at the first shot there, you can do nice little camera dollies in that are really quite effective. You know, maybe that cloud doesn't work there, but there we go. See, that's looking pretty nice. You can get some really nice parallax stuff when you're going on like that. So let's just orbit around here a little bit. We'll come straight on again here and pull it back. So this is the basic setup. I mean, I think it's pretty clear exactly what I did here. I just created a bunch of different layers here and made them into squares because, of course, you can't bend anything in After Effects 3D Space unless you're using a tool like Zaxworks Layer Warp or something like that. But it's all flat. It's designed flat. Now, the trick here is that let me just zoom into this right here. I'm gonna show you how you sort of make things sure that everything is gonna look just so. There we go. You can see there's a little bit of a line right here on these two intersecting layers. Okay, you don't see that in the final render. These are butted up right against one another on this edge here. Okay. Now, when you design your elements here, what you want to do is make sure, because these are this layer here, and this layer here are exactly the same elements. You want to make sure when you design them that the corners here and on the other side, you can't see it here, but over here, are exactly in exactly the same position, so that when you butt them up against one another here, it's going to be seamless, right? You're going to have the scoop going down. Let's just go over to the camera view, actually, active camera. Move along here. Where are we here? See, right over here. Well, it's kind of hard to see. When you've got it over here, you can't see it. It just looks like a horizon line, right? So I think that's pretty clear what I did there. Anyway, let's go back to the custom view again. And then, well, I'll just quickly walk through it. So I had a little bit more. There we go. And center it up a little bit. I created basically 3 horizon lines. There's this one horizon line which is back here, and that would be the far horizon. Another one that's closer up, and that would be the middle horizon. And then another one that goes all around here, which is the actual field that I use to position everything on. All the other elements here that you can see here, all these other elements, like all of these are all different trees and shrubbery and such that, like there's some right there, and there's another one there. And I just sort of scattered them all over the place, and that of course sells the 3D-ness of the whole thing a little bit better. So anyway, there's the scene, there's the overview. Go back to the active camera here. So from here on, I mean, it's pretty obvious what I did. I've got a floor. Do I have that one open here? I don't think I do. I'm just going to hide a bunch of these layers, and I'm going to select floor. I'm going to hold down my Alt key. I don't know if you knew this one. If you want to open up a pre-composition in your composition, if I double click on this, it's just going to open it up into a layer viewer. But that's not what I want. I want to go to the composition. What you do is you hold down on the PC, you hold down the Alt key, and you double click on the layer, and that opens up the actual composition. Okay, so here's the floor. It's, well, quite simple. It's got a little kind of a path here, and it's green. I'll close that up there. So, and I've got a light in the scene, obviously. I'll just space bar. And the light casts shadows. You can see I'll turn them off and on here. And I've got these little letters. Now the letters are the key to this whole spot, because the idea it was a PSA, a promotion, and they wanted to encourage walking and stuff. So what I decided to do was that I would take the logo that they had already designed. I'd separate all of the letters into their constituent well, letters, and I'd have them go walking along. Okay. So what I did is in Illustrator, I created or separated out all these letters, and I brought them in as their own. Well, here they go, right here. Look at them all. Has their own little composition, their own little compositions. Now, the reason that I brought them in for compositions is the following. Let's go to our L here, which is this one right up here. Okay, we'll turn that off and on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo that. And let's go up to. Let's go up. See if we can do it with full resolution. I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. Now, you can see that as we move along here. No, that's not going to work. I'll go to half resolution. Okay, it bounces back and forth. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do, because all these letters were going to be bouncing back and forth. Okay, every one of these letters that I've got, and instead of keyframing like all the moves and everything for this L, copying them, moving them over to the next one, which is the E, and copy paste, I did a lot of expressions for this one. Okay, I'm going to open up this layer here so you can see just what I did. Here's the L. I'm going to zoom in here. And you can see right at the beginning here, it starts off not moving, okay? And then when it goes along, it sort of bounces over here, and it kind of distorts a little bit and goes bounce, bounce, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it does this to the music, so it's a nice sort of a bouncy little thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the actual layer here. There we go. And I'm going to hit the U key. Okay, you can see that. Let me just remove parents here so that we can see a little bit better. There's an expression down here, all right? And it says, well, let's just maximize that a little bit more. The position and the orientation. So let's quickly go through it. For the position, the composition that it's looking at is bouncing source. The layer is bounce 0, 1, and it's transforming the position. So let's open that up here. We'll just go to this bouncing source, and I'll zoom out so we can see what the heck's going on. And all I have here is a little solid here. Zoom in a little bit, and let's go to full resolution so we can see what's going on. And you've got these little motion paths that are going here that you can see. I'll zoom out here. Well, I can just click and drag. You can see what's going on. And you can see this is going bounce and over. Okay, so this layer here is basically a stand-in for all of the other layers. What I did is I worked on this one solid here and played around with the movement and the keyframing and the easing and everything until I was happy with what I have. And then when I designed all these compositions to all the other layers, all of their positions here and their orientation here, because it also rotates when it goes back and forth, are hooked up to this one layer here. And the reason why I did that is if the music changed, or if I decided I didn't like the way the bounce was happening, all I had to do was change the behavior of this one layer, and then it would automatically, because it's linked via expressions, it would automatically change with all of the letters, all of them. I only had to change these keyframes right here, and all the bounciness everywhere will change. Okay, that's a really important concept to master. Now, the other thing that I have, the other expression that I used a lot here was how to make it distort. Okay, if we go back to the, where the heck is it? Where is it? There we go. You can see it doesn't just bounce, move back and forth. It also distorts like that. Bounce, and you can see it goes and squishes as it goes down. Okay, down, and then when it goes up, it kind of bounces around. There's some distortion going on there. And the effect that I used for that, I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger, is Bezier warp. Okay. Now, same general idea, except what I decided to do in this case was I created the warp and keyframed the warp in this one layer. That's why I called this one warp source. I'm just going to hit the U there, and you can see I've got a whole bunch of keyframes. Now, it looks like a whole whack of keyframes there, but don't let that intimidate you, because of course it's a cycle. From here over to, where are we? Here. All these keyframes are the same, and they're just repeated again and again and again and again. All right. So if I select the Bezier warp, let me just zoom out so we can see what the handles are looking like. Watch these little handles and everything as I go through. It starts off flat. Okay, there's no deformation going on right here. And then as it goes along, you can see the L goes down. As soon as the L gets down to the bottom corner, you see that? I got this from the top here, this Bezier warp pushing down on it. But I also wanted to keep the baseline of the letter to be more or less where it is. I didn't want it to go squishing down here. So I have an alternate warp on the bottom pushing up. And the result there is that the baseline stays the same, the top gets squished, and then it does a little bounce up when it goes up, and it goes down, and then to the other side, down, up, down. And you can see that the baseline here, it just stays on when it's down. This up here is where you get the action where it goes bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. And the baseline here just makes sure that the baseline of the letter stays the same. All right, so we got that. And then if we go to, say, letter number 2 here, the E, it comes in a little bit. There it is. I'll just hold down the Alt key and double-click on the E. And you can see that I've got an adjustment layer. And this adjustment layer, oh, yeah, we'll have to make that a little bit bigger. Is Bezier warp effect, and just some bunch of very simple using the pick whip here. The tangents goes to comp 0, 1 warp source. The layer adjustment layer. The effect Bezier warp. We're going to be able to see that. Let's just get rid of this. Top left tangent. So it's just picking and with your pick whip here, right? That's all that does. And all I had to do at this point now is just copy this adjustment layer. And the reason that I didn't put the effect onto the actual layers is because I could just copy the adjustment layer and go over to the next letter, paste, next letter, paste, 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 paste. It's all tied together. So to change the letters, all I have to do is change the bounce source here. Tilde key. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a lag there. Sorry about that. Change the movement of that, it changes all the letters. Change the bounciness of this one adjustment layer, and it changes them all there. All right, so that should be pretty clear. I guess I'm going on a little bit with that, but I wanted to be clear exactly how all that animation took place. So let's go back over to shot 1 here and maximize, turn off my solo layers so that we can see it all again. There we go. So then it became a case of, well, how do you move all these text items on? Another little bit of a, let me just zoom out here so we can sort of see what we're looking at a little bit better here. Actually, I'll go to a quarter resolution. What I did for this is more expressions, all right? So here I've divided my words and I've color-coded them. You can see right here. This is the first word, L-E-T-S, which is let's. Go walkin', which is the next one. And I've color-coded them here. And if I hit the E key, the U key, we're going to see a bunch more expressions here. Oh, it's expression mania, isn't it? Let me just hide the parenting here. And you can see that this particular expression refers to the position. Let's walk through it and see what it is. And the expression is on the position parameter. This comp layer is leader lets. We're looking at the position and the value at time. And I'll explain that one in a second here. And then this 101 minus 33 here. All right. So basically what happens is I've got this little square solid that I created here. I'll turn it on. I leave it off because I don't want to see it. But when I do that, you can see, where is it? Let's go to best resolution. And we're catching up. You can see there it is right there. Okay. What I did is I tied all the letters, L, E, T, and the S is still over here, to the movement of this square. Okay. So it's going to follow it. But I didn't want all of the letters to be following at the same speed. Okay, I wanted there to be a lag between them so that this one came on first, and then this one, and then this one, and use the value at time expression for that one. You can see value at time for this one is 0 because the L is going to follow. It's going to move at exactly the time that my little square works at there. But if I go down to the next one, the E, it's got pretty much the same expression, except you can see the time is -1, okay, and that's -1 second. So everything, the E is going to be moving the same way that the square is moving, except it's all going to happen 1 second later. And if I go over down to the next one, to the T, that also is, oh yeah, that's -1, and the S is -1.5. Okay, so it all just sort of happens that way in a kind of a slow sort of a following sort of a manner is what happens here. I also joined up the rotations to the square as well. I did a bunch of rotation stuff. You can see they all rotate around. And then I also, did I do that for these ones? Yeah, this is a kind of a tricky one. If you look down at the other layers here, I'm just going to move them onto the stage a little bit more. You can see they're actually offset by 1 frame. Starting at 0 is here, and the other ones are offset 1 frame on the other side of 0, I guess -1, -2, -3. That makes it look almost more snake-like. Instead of all of the layers bouncing and moving, or moving I should say, at the same time, and bouncing, it would all happen just very slightly after one another. So if you watch the final movie, you can see that it's kind of a snake-like effect. They don't all move and bounce and rotate and everything at the same time. Okay, so the net result of all this is that as the leader, which is this one here, you can see the motion path that I've got there. As that moves, all of these layers move with it, but slightly offset in time. Well, I guess that kind of explains that, and that's about, well, it for the project. I mean, from here on in, it was a lot of work to create the scene, of course. And to rig up everything with all the expressions, that certainly took time. But then it was just a case of animating the leaders here. Let's see, did I hit the U key? Right, there's all the keyframes. I also had a separate leader for the next word, which is go walkin'. You can see there's some stuff there. And same thing for Mississippi. So then I can independently animate each of these words, let's, go walkin', and Mississippi, using these, and then I can give them some life by moving them around. So let's see, what else did I do in this particular composition? So I've got the floor, music, and of course the camera move. All right, so and that's what really sells it. The first shot, zooms past this tree here, and when you're doing choreography, dance choreography, it's not just the dancers that are moving as far as this thing goes. It's also the camera, right? It can move as well, so why not? So that's shot number one. Shot number two is very similar to shot number one. I'll just maximize it here so that we can see it as it's rendering. There we go. Oops, yeah, that didn't. I got to go up to there. And I'll maximize that. And you can see, again, lots and lots and lots of layers. Same kind of thing. I used the same, if I unhide everything, I used all the same world space items here, groves and trees and hills and all that kind of stuff. And in this case, all the other ones, Let's is turned off and Mississippi is turned off. It's just Go Walkin' that I'm doing for this one, so that was the only one that I had visible. But everything that I did in the first composition, I did on this one as well. Same thing for shot 3. But here, this is when they all come together. I've got all the layers turned on. Let's go, let me just turn on layer name. Let's Go Walkin', Mississippi. And they're all there. And if we take a look at these, you can see, there we go. There's all the movement for all the different layers, and all the words are all linked up via expressions. And we'll go over to number 4 here. Same kind of thing, right? That's the ending shot. Let's Go Walkin' Mississippi. That's about it. I think I've gone on probably long enough for this. Fairly verbose kind of presentation, this one, but I think you get an idea of what I did. You can see that the theory behind it all is quite simple, actually, and then it's just a case of putting it all together and hitting the render button. So anyway, hope that was helpful to some folks out there. I hope that encourages you to go into the After Effects 3D space and play around a little bit more and see what you can create and come up with. My name again is Alan Chisco. I'm a motion graphics artist. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll talk to you later.